Nothing made me feel like I really did something till I wrote a book that I sell for $25 because I can hold it in my hand. You really got to get to a place. If you want something, you got to prepare and know what that is and go after it and be ready, because it takes months of preparation to get a yes. If you don't know your own value, you won't feel confident to present a win-win because you don't feel like you have anything to offer. But at the end of the day, I tell people, if you want to attract people,
pivot in your confidence, career, and compensation with the 5-Minute Career Hack Podcast every Monday and Thursday. Now get ready for a special interview curated just for you.
Welcome back to another episode of the 5-Minute Career Hack Podcast. And as always, we give you a 5-minute episode where we highlight something you can do each week to impact your confidence, your career, and your compensation. And we do an interview every single week. And today I'm super excited that I have such an amazing guest on with us today, none other than Nicole Cooper. Nicole is the CEO of Impact Nation. She's an online media consultant and the founder of Black Life ATX, Praying Bold Prayers, and Biz Growth Media. Say that all real fast, right?
a lot going on there.
Impact Nation, she is a marketing guru, and I'm so excited to have her here today. Welcome to the show, Nicole. Thank you for joining
Thank you for having
us.
me. I'm excited to be here.
We've been working together for so long, and it's like long overdue for us to get on the podcast. So I
know.
think today is going to be special. And one of the things, and I shared this with you, that always sticks out to me, even when I hear people mention the word relationships. One of our first conversations, you said relationships are currency, right? Because we're out here chasing business, right? But relationships are currency. So we're going to hop right in, okay? So tell me, as you tell us about yourself and all these magnificent things that you've done, give me a cheat code, Nicole. I need to know what is the key, the cheat code to building great relationships that come to fruition in business?
I think the real cheat code is being aware of what other people around you need, especially those that you're looking to build relationships with, and being the one to follow through. I think sometimes we always go to people about what we want, and we don't think about how can I add value to other people's lives. But at the end of the day, I tell people, if you want to attract people, do something for them first that gets their attention. Yeah. And so that's the real cheat code. I mean, if I think about the platforms that I've built, people found me because I was marketing them, and they didn't even know who I was.
Wow. I think the key words you said for me was value.
Value.
Because even in relationships, it's an exchange of value. And I'm a definition girl. So when I went up and looked up every word to relationship, relation, relate. And the two words that I loved the most were mutual and reciprocal. And I think sometimes relationships fail because it's a couple things. One, some people are not willing to take 100% responsibility for those relationships.
Yes.
Right? And then two, they're not even understanding the value, or giving and receiving value becomes one-sided, right?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden feelings are hurt, emotions are high, and businesses are failing because we don't know how to build relationships, right?
And I think that I think when you think about relationships, sometimes people don't fully understand their role in them. And if we talk about, especially if you get into the business space, when a person is sitting down and trying to strategize on how they're going to go to somebody, they're thinking about what this person can do for me. And so what happens is there's unrealistic expectations there. So it's like, oh, I'm coming to you because you're going to give me what I want, but I didn't think you wanted something back out of me. And so you will find that so many people are clueless of the concept of reciprocation because they feel like, well, I got what I wanted. Like, that's what I wanted.
Right.
So yeah, it is a very challenging space for a lot of people because they don't understand that power of mutually beneficial relationships.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think the thing that I've noticed, and sometimes even experienced, because we live in a world where there's a lot of opportunists and people who are afraid to say, this is what I need out of a relationship, or just be honest about what the intent is. They're just afraid to say it because they don't want to be an opportunist or come off or be viewed as an opportunist.
Yeah.
So when you think about what does that communication look like? If you're going to start building a business or a relationship with someone and you got to say it out loud. Hey, this is what I can offer. This is what I need. What tips would you give for someone to kind of ease the anxiety around being viewed as an opportunist and just being honest about what the expectations are of that relationship? I've heard so many different answers, but how long should my resume be? Listen, a one-page resume is ideal for candidates with less than 10 years experience. Now, if you have more experience, a 2-page resume is absolutely acceptable. There's so many steps to creating a resume story that converts to getting your dream job. Sign up now for 5-Minute Career Hacks resume hacking services and let us help you right now. You even get a 1-hour consultation with our team.
I mean, I just think it's being very forward up front. As a matter of fact, I think about a conversation I had yesterday where I reached out to somebody and I was like, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. This is what I thought it can do for you. And I would love to see how we can mutually support each other. It's being very honest. I think we're all clear of what our goals are, especially like in business, not always in like personal relationships. I think personal relationships has a different dynamic from business. But I think when it comes to the conversation up front is just being honest. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I thought about you because of this. I want to know how I can, what kind of things that I could do to successfully support you. But I would love to see if we can find a way for this to be mutually beneficial. When you start with that conversation, it opens up the floor for that discussion to happen. So there's no hidden agenda that's hiding or lurking anywhere. I'm being very forthcoming up front about what we need. So it's just being upfront.
Yeah, intentional.
It's being super intentional. And I think we do worry about what people think, but once again, that's that sitting back and saying, this is the value that I'm bringing. Right? So you understand, okay, if I'm coming to this person, they have this going on, how can I actually support them as well? If you can think about that up front, it becomes a win-win. And it reminds me of a game that we played years ago in a personal development class where it was like, who's the winner? It was the whole goal was who's the winner. We kept trying to figure out which team won. And at the end of the day, the goal was it wasn't about any team winning. It was about it being a win-win. And we don't understand that's the goal. So if you can approach it from a win-win scenario, then it's almost like you are holding back if you don't present that to the person because it's something beneficial for them too.
Right. Man, that's good. The win-win.
It got to be a win-win.
And that needs to be understood early. That's the intent versus discovering down the line that you was in it to win it and they was depending on you to win. Right.
But so that leads to another conversation though. That conversation leads to you knowing your value.
This is why you my sister, because that's where I was going next.
Yeah, because if you don't know your own value, you won't feel confident to present a win-win because you don't feel like you have anything to offer. And so, it takes some work to get up in there and figure that part out.
Yes.
And
no, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Because when you say a value, that's exactly what came to mind is sometimes we get to these conversations and we don't know it, so we can't communicate what we don't know. Right? And so now this is where the personal development, the self-reflection, the Beanie calls it going on a listening tour and asking for feedback on the value that you've added to other people.
Which you just did, and you helped me with that, right?
Yes. So yes, that's a perfect example of solicit feedback from people, Nicole. And I'll share this openly. Do you mind?
No.
Yeah, you sent me a message, and not the first time. I was actually telling somebody about this. I said one thing I like about Nicole is probably once a quarter she's sending me a note to say, hey, what do you think I do well? What do you think that I need to do better at? And that's a sign of self-reflection because that's going to help you understand the value that you're adding to relationships.
Somebody explained to me, we are all like in a bottle and everybody gets to look at us in that bottle. But when you're in it, you don't get to see what's in that bottle.
That's
right?
good.
So while everybody is able to look clear through the glass and see on the inside you and everything going on, so many people are around us. And I did this personal development training years ago, and it was the best thing ever because that's what came out was we cannot see ourselves, and we have to be open to feedback on good and challenging feedback.
Absolutely.
Right? Because and this crazy thing is, is when you ask people that question, they could blurt out in the first 30 seconds all the things you need to know. So if you're struggling and you say, man, I've been struggling, I don't know why I'm struggling. And you say, can you just give me some feedback on why you think I'm struggling? People will be throwing up in words.
Oh, they ready
because
for
they
you.
already know. But guess what? Most people will never tell you unless you ask.
Absolutely.
Right? So many of us sit in these spaces of suffering and delay, and we don't have real growth because we're scared to have people tell us the truth.
Yeah,
But the truth will set you free.
Hey, you want it?
It will set you free.
Sometimes freedom ain't comfortable either.
It's not. Freedom's not comfortable. Growth is not comfortable.
Yeah.
And feedback is not comfortable always.
Yeah, but certainly necessary and I'm going to completely steal that analogy if you can't
Take it.
see yourself.
You take everything I share today, put your name on it.
Well, it's going on the internet, so
Yes.
everybody's getting blessed by your words today. But being able to see yourself, you can't do that alone. And I talk a lot about, and I believe this wholeheartedly, the most supreme relationships, one, the relationship we have with God, your relationship you have with yourself, that is practice for how you are showing up in relationship with other people. But, I have conversations with God, but it's, it's me and me, right? We talk, I'm talking and I'm getting these fresh revelations. I have a great relationship with myself over the last 4 years, but I still need insight.
Yeah.
I still need to hear about it from the lens of people who are experiencing me in a way that I'm not experiencing myself, right? And so you have to, I think what you've done is you have a routine around it. And that's probably what I believe a hack is getting a routine of asking for feedback, getting a routine of going on the listening tour to get this feedback, and take what you need, leave what you don't need, because everybody's feedback ain't, it's not always accurate, but it's good to even know what the perception of you is so that you can know how to show up in future relationships.
Yeah. And it's amazing because when you ask people for feedback, it really can help you see yourself differently.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times we take for granted what our contribution is to our environments, and we just do it, right?
Yeah.
And I think naturally, instinctively, human nature desires to give, and do. But sometimes we feel cheated because we're giving and we're doing, but we're not able to benefit from that. And the benefit comes from you knowing that this is the value you bring to the world and you knowing how to leverage it. So I'll tell you, for example, I was just talking to my cousin on the way here, and you may know, I just submitted to be a speaker for South by Southwest, right? So she checked in on me. She was like, how's it going with your speaker thing and how you, so I told her, I was like, well, it's, we got a minute before we get the response. But she was like, how do you find out about these things? Because I was telling her, I was like, listen, that's not till next March. Like, we are talking 7-8 months they're preparing in advance. And I told her, I said, you really got to know what you want, because I spent the whole summer submitting to all kind of stuff where I won't even know until the fall, right? I was like, you really got to get to a place. If you want something, you got to prepare and know what that is and go after it and be ready, because it takes months of preparation to get a yes. And so I told her, and she was like, how do you find it? I said, well, I'm marketing, so these things come across my lap. I said, what's funny is I used to look at these things for other people only. Now I finally realized, oh no, this for me too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I told her, I said, I now officially start nominating myself.
Come on, nominate
because
yourself.
Nobody else is going to spend their days trying to campaign for me.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of us don't feel good about that. We're like, oh, I'm going to wait for somebody to nominate. Well, baby, they so consumed with their life. You're going to be waiting until you go to the grave. They're going to tell you in your grave how great you are.
Absolutely.
But people are not living their lives to nominate you.
Right.
You have to step out and then know how to campaign to get the support for your personal nomination for what you want. And so I told her, so she's like, I like that. Nominate myself. I said, oh, this is my nominate myself season.
Because we'll go hard for other people more than we go for ourselves. Yeah.
And the thing is I was really good at that. I would hand off everything to everybody else. Yeah, I'm like, oh, let me get, people would call me to work with me, and I'd be like, well, let me go ahead and hook you up with this person. And they're like, no, I want to work with you. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I would be so quick to hand people off that I would miss all kind of opportunities. And at the end of the day, you can't get mad at anybody.
Yeah.
Because it came to your lap first.
Yeah.
But did you understand that this was a fit for you? You
Right.
had the value and that you were worthy enough of this opportunity. And did you take advantage of it? And if you handed it off, then celebrate the person who got the win because you gave it up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that we were talking about that on the way here, and I was like, yeah, I'm finally at that space where I'm like, oh, I'm looking for me too.
Absolutely.
I'm looking for
Absolutely.
me
Now,
too.
because nobody's coming, and you'll show up for yourself before somebody else shows up for you, right?
And be okay with campaigning.
Absolutely. Campaign. And what does campaigning for yourself look like?
Go ask people to support you and vote for you, and really get out there and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I need you to get behind me and send your vote.
Yeah.
And so it really is. It all goes back to that word. You got to know that you're worthy, and you got to know
Yes.
your value.
Yes.
And then that gives you the confidence to go after these different things unapologetically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that too, and being willing to be told no. I think I know, and I'm going to use myself. On the 5 Minute Career Hack podcast, I always say, when I say y'all, I'm talking about me.
Right.
So I know that part of the reason in my earlier years where I wasn't campaigning for myself was because I had a fear of rejection that stemmed from my childhood. I was afraid of being told no, right? And so I would not. But honestly, just ask. No is a part of life. Sometimes you have to say no to people. So we can't be afraid of that rejection and people not saying yes to every ask that we have, but we want them to say yes to the most important ask, right? The things that we really need.
So my background, sales and marketing, right?
Yes.
And this is how I learned the power of a no.
Yeah.
And I think through it through the lens of sales.
Okay.
Right? So let's
Love
say every deal I do is worth $100. But it takes me to go to 10 people before I get one yes.
Come on.
So 1 out of 10 is a yes.
Yes.
But once I get that yes,
Conversion.
the yes is worth how much? $100, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did was I took those 10 people I had to go through to get to the yes, and I divvied up that $100.
Yeah.
And I said every no was worth $10. So now your no is worth money to me. You say no
90.
next. All right, I'm just trying to get through the 9 and get to the 10.
Right. Ooh.
So that
good.
way you're no longer caught up in the emotional aspect of it. You understand, no, this is a numbers game.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's also an alignment game.
Yes.
Right? Because when you just said that just now, I just got that vision of that article that just came out about the man who went to get coffee, who was supposed to get on that flight going in Brazil, and the flight ended up crashing and he couldn't get on the plane.
I saw that.
And I'm like, and the lady said, no, you can't get on the plane. And I'm thinking, man's rejection is God's protection.
Come on.
We got to understand that God is looking out for you too in those no's. That
Right.
sometimes it's saving you from stuff that you can't see.
Yes.
So don't get and I think too, we have to stop getting emotionally attached to an outcome, right? So instead, you just got to do the work, and it's going to work out however it needs to work out. And if something
Absolutely.
doesn't work out, you be okay. Maybe that's not the avenue here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I grew up in LA. And, LA is known for traffic. Well, they got streets. Everything is parallel and perpendicular. It's all squares in LA. So my mom taught us, you keep finding streets. You go down back
Keep
streets
turning. Look.
to get away from that traffic. And if you see another traffic, you go down another street. But
Right.
you have to keep turning down streets until you find the one that's going to be in alignment for you. And so, so we got to get away from this emotional attachment to somebody's yes, and instead be committed to the process.
Yes. Be in love with the process and not the outcome.
Not the
right?
outcome.
Because we live in a world of comparison as well. And I'm going to actually use this to segue even to my next question, because I think you'll add a ton of value in terms of building relationships in this digital world too. But being in love with the process and not the outcome. And we watch people, especially now with social media, and then we start comparing their journey, where they are, to where we're trying to go, and we don't know what streets they had to turn down.
We just had that conversation.
We don't know. They're chapter 10. They could be in chapter 10, and we're in chapter 2, and we're fighting to get to where they are.
Oh, man.
But it's so important to not, like, comparison is what they say is a thief of joy.
Comparison is a thief,
Thief of joy. It's a thief of all of your dreams.
Yeah.
And so in the digital world, we are it's on the rise right now, right? Like we're looking at everything and everybody and creating these narratives about how they got there, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, though, we still need technology, like Black Life ATX, Rainbow Prayers, Biz Growth Media. Those are great examples of where technology is happening for you versus happening to you, right? And so the average person spends about 4 hours a day, they say, online.
On social media.
And then we talk with emojis. Right, we talk with emojis
shorthand text.
and shorthand text. The clip
Acronyms.
matters more than before the clip is happening, and people are making context out of the clip without even knowing exactly what the whole video is about. So it can serve as a disadvantage, but I think you've done a great job of making it an advantage. And when I read on why you started Black Life ATX, of course, it was post-pandemic. Everybody was online. People were longing for a sense of connection and community, right? So even with that, I kind of wanted to set it up around like we need online. However, we can't be attached to what we see online and have that be that one egg in the basket. What would you say are some tips in terms of either merging the online versus the in real life relationship, or maximizing online so that it helps foster business growth, empowerment, connection, community? Like, give me your spiel on that.
You just hit the bingo.
It's a whole thing out here right now.
Yeah. So I started Black Life ATX because my life was only online, and it is a very miserable life. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how big your following is. It doesn't matter how great you are at giving the imagery of it. And I think what happens is we begin to believe our own promotions. We begin to, like that meme was going around this year where people was like, I really be out here looking at people, kids, like, oh my God, I can't believe she's gotten so big, but I've never met that child a day in my life. But you spent years watching this person on social media.
Everybody
from when
know
they
Riley.
had the baby, to the baby growing up, to now the baby in high school, going off to college. Like we really get invested in that virtual world. And unfortunately, we begin to believe that we are connected to people. And you're not. You're literally behind a device. You're at home. Nobody's ringing your doorbell. When you want to do something, you don't have anybody to call. And there is no real communication or engagement happening that's stimulating your soul. So what happens is most of us, and that's what happened to me, I just was an online person. Personality. But I was like, but I don't know nobody where I live. And nobody even knows I exist. And when I want to go out to eat, if my husband got to work or my kids are at school, I'm by myself.
Right.
I don't have community. I'm not connected. And I have to travel in order to really have social connection to my friends wherever they live.
Right.
And I was like, that's not a real life. And so I realized that we have to get back to IRL.
In real life.
In real life.
Let's do it.
We have to get back to real connections, real relationships. The touching, can I just give you a hug?
It's energy.
Yeah. Can I just hug you? Hold your hand. We can go sit down for coffee and just we don't understand how much the spirit and body desires that. And so what happens is when you're looking through a lens of just stuff happening on the internet, you feel cheated because your life does not resemble that. And it could be the simple things. Like for me, it was the simple things of friends going out to brunch and laughing. I'm like, I want to be at brunch laughing too. What y'all laughing at? Tell me what's the joke. I want in on that. What y'all drinking? That look good. Is that pineapple juice with your mimosa? Or is that mango juice?
Oh, grapefruit.
But it's that we desire the experience of a thing. It's not always just I want what you have, but I wish I had friends. I wish I can go out to brunch with somebody. I wish I had somebody to talk to. I wish I had somebody to go with me to a movie or a party or whatever. Right. So what has to happen is we have to put that balance back in there because the real world, it totally healed my soul. Like I did this selfishly for desperation out of what I needed. But I knew that if I needed it, other people needed it too. And so I just
So
didn't.
you saw them through that bottle.
I saw
you
them
saw
through
the
that.
bottle. Yep, that's it. Yep.
I was like, there has to be, well, and then I lost a lot of friends that lived here. They kept leaving. So my good friends was like, I can't do this, Nick. I got to go. And I was like, I can't knock you because I'm on 1 foot out the door. I don't know, I don't know. Because I was telling my husband, like, babe, I don't know how much longer I could do this.
Right.
Like, I feel like I'm dying. I literally felt like a plant that was not getting water, sunlight, any nourishment. And you know how the plant slumps over and it's just hanging over? That's just how my life felt. I felt slumped over. I was laying around. I was gaining weight. I was becoming an emotional eater. I was mentally depressed. Even when I just started despising my work because I can work and all that stuff. I mean, you know, people glamorize working from home, but working from home can be mental. You can have some mental issues from that because you don't leave your house for 3 days. You're not getting real sunlight. You're not engaging with people in real life. So it was all these elements. And I was like, and that's when my husband was like, create what you want because we ain't moving. So you better figure it out.
That was after how many moves? He was like,
after
ma'am.
18 in 21 years. 20 years. At that time, it was probably 18 years and we were at 18 moves.
Wow.
And he was like, no, figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I say for people, you know, it does take getting offline, but here's a difference too. You can't just get offline. Go serve your community. Go give your gifts to the people where you live.
Yes.
Go share what you have with the people around you, and just because that's what I did. I was like, I prayed about it and I was like, all right, Lord, like, what do I do? Because this ain't it. Like me sitting on the computer all day coaching, I'm done. Like I'm fried. I don't have nothing else in me. And I just felt the Lord say, go give your city where you live what you got. I was like, I'm gonna go give them everything then. I was excited about that because I saw a lot of issues with that. I was seeing all these businesses close. And I was like, I would talk to people and be like, how are you getting business? And I'm thinking, I could solve this problem.
Right.
Like I already had the issue. I had already mapped it out 1,000,000 times over and over again about what we needed to do here to really help that component. But in giving, guess what? I got so much more because it made me realize my value in real life. Not in the image of what you put in your marketing campaign or your copy or your sales funnel or your online reels. In real life,
You can see the fruits.
you can see the fruit of, and I was like, oh God, like, okay, I really have something to contribute.
Yeah.
I really can help people.
Yeah.
Because online is all, I tell people it's funny. I've been building content, courses, doing masterminds, coaching, but I've been online for 17 years, since 2007. Nothing made me feel like I really did something until I wrote a book that I sell for $25 because I can hold it in my hand.
Wow.
How many things have I done, but it's on my hard drive, it's in Google Drive, or it crashed with the last computer that I had.
Yeah.
And you never see it. We don't understand the power of IRL in real life.
Absolutely.
And so that's a long answer to that question.
Yeah, no, amazing answer. I can't even go back to every point because my brain was braining while you were talking.
Your brain was braining.
And I think it's even funny that you mentioned that that's what it was and that we're talking about relationships. So, and I'm going to tell this story just real fast. So when I first met you last year, Memorial Day, I didn't even know I didn't even know anything about Black Life ATX.
We didn't have
My aunt from Houston told me, go to this soul food festival in Austin. And she said, I'm going to come down and I'm going to meet you guys there. I was just there exploring. And me and Riley were already doing our affirmations, and we walk up to your table and I buy a deck of cards because that's our language. Affirmations, sure, this is amazing. Had no idea. So I took those cards, didn't know that within a couple of weeks, I was going to be in one of the roughest seasons of my life. And I relied on those. I had this thing in my hand. I didn't know why I had it, but this thing in my hand, I had these cards, and every day I was reading the cards.
Wow.
I was sending out, just like I send the scriptures
Every
out now,
day.
I was sending out those cards every day. It started with 2 people. The next thing you know, 20 people was getting the picture of the card every day, right? But that was all the work that you done, the challenges and the vulnerability that you just displayed here today that made it where I had this tangible thing in my hand that I could share with others. And there is your value. It was the start, though, of our relationship.
Yeah, I was going to say, and then here it is, much later, your contribution, not just to us, to the city of Austin.
Well, thank you.
Right? Yeah. Which is amazing. Because y'all Candace be everywhere. Everywhere. I'll be like, everywhere I go, I'll be like, what you doing here, Candace?
Yeah, but I think this is an example, too, of an exchange. Because I'm telling you right now, too, that these cards gave me energy, because I went outside immediately after that. And then I saw you at DECA, and I said, hey, you wrote those cards.
Yeah.
And we took that selfie, and I had scheduled a reel to post a picture of the card. I was like, I'm not going to share them because I want folks to buy them from you, but I got to share this one from today. And it ended up being right at the time that we met.
Okay.
And then started to, again, build the relationship. But again, it was because of the work that you had put in, the challenges that you had experienced, hey, I need to be in connection with people. I'm going to go. That food festival was packed that day.
Oh, that was crazy.
That food festival was packed.
Yeah, they had to shut down 3 hours early.
Yes. The food, I won't go there, but it was so good.
Yeah.
It was such a good time. But it was just the start of us even being here on the podcast today, me understanding your value, you contributing to 5-Minute Career Hack, me contributing to Black Life ATX, us going out in the community and doing things. Like, it came from the journey, the process.
And I was going to say, I think that was my first event that I did.
Really?
That was my first time outside. Because I found them because I was doing the research for Black Life ATX, and it came across my lap, and that was a nominate me thing. Oh, let me go be a vendor for this.
Look at that.
Yeah. So that was funny thing is you said you went outside right afterwards. We launched right afterwards, but that was my first outside.
Wow.
Too.
Wow.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and that was the time in the pandemic too. And this is why I think this discussion is so important, is because, again, to your point, we were isolated, and it wasn't like, oh, we're going to go back to doing what we did before. We had to come outside and do things a little differently.
It was like trying to learn how to walk all over again.
Absolutely.
I was so socially awkward.
Mm-hmm. Me
too. And I think I still am. I ain't gonna lie. I think I still am. I be sitting in rooms like, hey, how you doing? We just had, so me and my cousin, we were talking, right? My cousin is like my bestie. We grew up together. We went to high school, elementary, middle, high school, and then we were college roommates. So we went to Tuskegee together. So we're like sisters. But we were just talking about how the pandemic, even for our children, they were saying how it put a lot of people in a place of being 2 years delayed, because it's just like your life was put on hold for 2 years. And so a lot of people are trying to learn how to navigate again. And a lot of kids didn't learn how to problem solve. They lost their ability to think and problem solve, and right?
Connect, yep.
And I think a lot of us felt the same way. It's like you're coming out and you're trying to learn, okay, how do I really connect with people after they told me it was bad to go around people and bad to touch people and bad to, you know what I mean? And so I think, to your point, going back to a couple points ago, that's why community is so critical right now, because we actually need the practice.
Yeah.
We need the practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is perfect practice ground. I think Black Life ATX is an amazing platform to practice.
That was practice.
Collaboration. So as we wrap up too, tell us a little bit more about Black Life ATX, and kind of I know it came because of post-pandemic, but when you think about the vision of where you see this going post-pandemic, now you're a year in, and it has grown at an astronomical rate.
Yes.
And now it's a hub for exactly what we're talking about, building relationships. Why do people need to become a part of this, and what should they expect?
I definitely feel, even if you're not in Austin, right, because it's going to be seen all over the world, and that's one of the things that I'm actually going to be doing, is initiating how people can start their own in other cities.
Yep.
What I see for Black Life ATX, honestly, is I am ready for it to really be a community resource. Like, I want to detach myself from it. As you can see, you're doing Feature Friday, right? But when I did this, I wanted it to have a legacy in the city that became a staple that everybody can count on and leverage and use. So it really is me finding a way to successfully put it in the hands of others to help have a representation of our community as a whole in multiple facets. Yes. I want the arts community, the tech community, the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-old. You know what I mean? There's so many different elements of us in that. But just really making it a community resource where it becomes a staple for all things within our community, from organizations to businesses to events and resources, and just really making it a solid hub. So I'm always looking for those people with the same passion for the city that can do good by the page, and really and just the whole brand as a whole, so that it can become a staple that lives beyond me. Because I think sometimes we start things that if anything happens to us, it goes away. And what I don't want is it to be attached to me in that facet. I want it to literally stay here and be around for 20, 30, always just a remnant, like a chamber of commerce or an urban league or, so that's what I see for it. Right now we're doing the magazine and we want to get as many resources in there as possible. So it's just always just making this a hub and a base for people to have a reference to connect to.
Yes, and I hear now that I've heard kind of your nominate yourself theory, this is also a platform that brings opportunities to people so they can nominate themselves.
Nominate yourself.
Right? Because, I mean, you could spend, and you've done the work, right? So you could spend a ton of time searching and Googling and buying all the courses and doing all those things, but having a central place where you're connecting with people and you see the opportunities you need to nominate yourself for, or you see examples from the leaders or just your fellows and business partners, it gives you more confidence. I would say that's my story of since being a part of Black Life ATX, maybe I've become more confident. In 5 Minute Career Hack, I've become more confident.
Because you are out giving your value to your community where you get to now see, I really can contribute here.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what happens with a lot of folks is we are often the attendees and the recipients, and we're not enough of the producers and the givers. And this is funny, we're in Dawa because they say give to the givers.
Yes.
But when you become that person that's giving, you get so much more back in return. So we want our community, which I mean, we have so many different aspects of it where people are volunteering, showing up, contributing, and they're discovering, I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
I'm really talented. Like, I know what I'm doing.
That part.
You need the place to practice to grow your confidence. Because I'm going to be honest, I knew I was skilled. I knew I was knowledgeable. I know I've done a lot. I tell people, I've done so much, sometimes I forget a lot of the stuff that I've done. But it wasn't until I went into my community and used those skills that I understood the value of what I bring fully. And it's totally changed where I'm now nominating myself. Like, I can't stop nominating myself.
And that fruit that you've put in other people's lives, that's going to sustain because you did it under I'm building authentic relationships. I'm giving of myself. When they say press down, shaking together, running over. Put it back into your lap, right? It's, that's something we said at church as a scripture, but it sticks with me and it's very real, right? Real. Give to the givers. Yeah, so as we wrap up, I wish we'll have to come back and do it again.
we need 30 minutes, please.
I feel like we started 5 minutes ago.
I know. It goes by
so as we always do on the 5 Minute Career Hack podcast, share your final 5 words. It doesn't have to be a sentence, but just 5 words that resonated with you, that resonate with you around building relationships, whatever you feel the audience needs to help grow their confidence, career, and compensation.
Well, I would just say 5 different words.
Okay.
The first word that I would say is vision. Get clear on the vision that you have for your life, because you literally can create whatever you want. The second word that I would say is commit. Bring it to life. The third I would say is serve. Serve others with what it is that you have. The fourth that I would say is be relentless. Relentless. And the fifth is be bold.
Be bold. Love it. Praying bold prayers.
That's my word.
Love
be bold.
it. Be bold. Vision, commit, serve, relentless, and bold. Even I learned on the 5 Minute Career Hack podcast. I'm so glad that you came on today to share with us.
Me.
This has been definitely a fruitful conversation. And we coming back again. So
yes,
anything else you want to share in terms of your product?
I would say, they can look me up, Nicole S. Cooper, on all social media. I have a book, Praying Bold Prayers, journal, affirmation cards. We have our second series coming out. This is called the Purpose series. We have the Purpose collection. We got the Money collection coming out. Follow us at Black Life ATX and all the other things.
Let's grow together.
Let's grow together. Let's go and let's grow.
Love it. Thank you so much, Sunshine, for coming on. And until next time, I love you.
All right, love you too. Bye, y'all.
I truly hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed doing it for you. However, it doesn't have to end there. Come on over to our Facebook group community right now. You're going to get exclusive content that we weren't able to include in this episode as well as past episodes. We've got challenges, we've got research, we've got lives, you name it, all for you in bite-sized chunks so that you can continue this development journey. Go ahead, click the link right now in the description show notes, and we'll see you there.